Very good afternoon to all of you. Warm welcome on the penultimate session of the series of GS Mains decoding sessions that have been happening. So after GS 1, 2 and 3, we are now having the essay session, and a very warm welcome to our achievers. We have Mr. Kiran, Niveditha and Mr. Manoj who will be joining us. This session, after a short break, will be followed up with GS 4, which is ethics session as such. Essay considering a very important topic and also considered to be a larger scoring paper. It can give you an edge, can build different perspectives. So to all of you who are attending the session, probably here is where you'll have to pick up different approaches and different perspectives from each one of them. Please be very open in asking your questions and taking through forward. I will hand over the session to. Thank you so much.
Okay. Welcome back. After an exhausting GS3 session, I'm fortunate to be, get some. I am assisting her. So that is done by Niveditha. I am going to assist. So, essay, a make or break kind of paper. You can question. If you look at the scoring patterns, there are extremes. Either students are scoring at as low as 70, 25, as high as 130 plus last year, 144, 130, 120. I was 124 last year. Am is 24. So a good score should be at least 110 plus. Anything less than that, anything less than 100, I feel is a dangerous score. Putting yourself at risk of not being, and let's say you are at 90 and you are just missing out on the final list. You are like 115 now, 25 marks, not just getting into somewhere good rank, at the middle of the rank, and you have another 25. What will happen? You will get the top 100, etc. That's the power of essay paper. Most people think it as an extension of GS. I will have enough fodder material from doing GS 1, 2, 3, 4. My optional essay, I have a good full, can just pick it the same in essay. I'll do it. I am not a believer. I feel an open field. You can bring in your ideas, perspectives, the literary reading, etc. All your extra reading beyond UPSC that you've done can be related to Kannada literature. All the fiction, non-fiction you have read, all the lots of editorials, etc. that you've read, all come in essay. Unlike GS, it's not a very objective, I would say. Ultimately, GS 1 to all that we discussed this morning. Most people will be writing on similar lines, not say renewable energy section. One candidate will not write something else and another candidate will not write. All arrive at some certain point that objective in nature. Whereas essay, it's not like that. I have one topic, 100 people. Each one of them will have different perspective, and each will produce a different 100 distinct essays. That is why it is more and that's why essay is more enjoyable. Also, there is no, unlike similar to ethics, there is no wrong or right answer here. There is good, better, and best essay. No bad essay. Just say your essay was good. You should understand what a essay is. Your essay is better. I feel 90, like not a good essay. 100 is a good essay. 110 is a better essay. 100 anything above 110 is best essay. Have that gradation in. We'll start off. Anything to add on?
Good afternoon. How are you all? I am Dr. Niveditha. So I'll be assisting sir. Okay, that's a clarification. Sir has already told essay is very important, right? It can either make your journey fruitful, and it also has that energy to break your journey. So 90 to 130, 140, that much difference if essay has. There is also a specific strategy like GS which you can use, and that comes out to be your strength, right? What is essay? What is essay?
Let's make this interactive.
Yeah.
I know you have had a very big lunch, but and with this weather and this, let us make it interactive. What is
Yeah.
an essay?
Expression of thoughts and what? Opinions and perceptions and what is an essay? Do you read editorials in the newspaper? Is that an essay? A kind of. But if we keep it as a base and add the philosophical depth, will this will make a fantastic, beautiful essay? Essay is an unconscious attack to the examiner's mind you make that will give you results. GSL ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? You give content. Examiner will give marks. Essay content ಜೊತೆ the way you present it, the beautiful emotions you add in it. Essay is to know what kind of person you are, how well you think beyond the syllabus. And GS knowledge, will it help in writing essays? Of course it will help. It will, so I will tell you in the future PPTs how it will help in writing GS answer. But apart from that, there is some kind of extra preparation you have to do. I believe essay also has an approach, also has certain kind of preparation, and that preparation itself will decide your marks which you write on the day of exam.
First of all, essay is not just about writing, like writing in a course you have to write, but my essays, what most writing well, good vocabulary, fluent English, impressive quotes, all strung together. That is all garnishing. Have to cook. Then this is all top dressing. The foundation comes. What is the? It is about thinking. Topic. First, you think writing is merely the final visible expression of an invisible intellectual. This invisible intellectual brainstorming. You brainstorm a lot of ideas. Usually what happens, there are two essays, 4 each on two sections, section A and section B. You are expected to write 1 each for the section. 3 hours, 1.5 hour, 1 essay. That is 90 minutes for 1 essay. In that 90 minutes, first an essay, first few minutes pending, choosing an essay first, then you are brainstorming. For every essay, I feel 15 to 20 minutes of brainstorming mandatory. So in the 90 minutes, already you are spending 15-20 minutes. You are left with 70-75 minutes that you are going to write and finish your essay. Now, that 15 minutes of brainstorming, that is the core of your essay. That is where all the intellectual process, all the thinking process is going to happen. The more you brainstorm with new ideas and what I will do, what are the ideas that I'm coming up with, how do I structure it, that should be part of the brainstorming. Only when you have a very good brainstorming session, then you will be more easily utilizing writing an essay, and the next 70-75 minutes will be flawless, like it will go effortlessly. Will write. Now let's say why spend 50 brainstorm for 5 minutes and utilize the extra 10 I'm getting? If that is your mind, I'll just brainstorm for 5 minutes. We'll eventually start off quickly, then the rest will start off quickly. But max, and also each essay will be about 10 to 12 pages. There was a surprise this year. We had 14 pages.
14 pages.
Traditionally, it was 12 pages. This year, it was 14 pages. So, you might start off quickly and say, first 4 pages, you are like, when looking at others and saying they're still brainstorming, I'm already covered 4 or 5 pages. I'm faster. But what will happen is, after 4 or 5 pages, you will get stuck because of the lack of brainstorming. All your ideas are saturated in the first few pages. You have put all your ideas, whatever 5 minutes of brainstorming you have done, first few minutes, and then you will be stuck. Then you will feel that you have that lack of ideas. Now you have not brainstormed enough. You don't know how to structure the rest of the essay. Or maybe then you decide, maybe this is the wrong topic I have chosen. This has happened to a lot of this. Just strike out all the first 2 pages, then pick up another topic, then they start off. So don't think of the first 15-20 minutes as a waste of time. It is an investment that you are doing for the next to write those 12-14 pages of essay.
Yeah, adding on to it, brainstorming, and the next step would be structured brainstorming. That difference is what you all should know. Brainstorming is just throwing or brainstorming all the contents which you want to write in the essay. And first, sir told, no, 14 pages we had. I still believe quality over quantity. You write in 1200 words. So it's not the number of pages you write, but it's the quality of the essay you write. And that quality you should bring through brainstorming. And when you see 4 questions and 4 questions on the 2 essays you're writing, decide on both the essays you write, not only the first essay. Because sometimes when you're writing philosophical essays, the core philosophy in the essays will be similar. When you write the first essay, the repetition must not happen in the second essay. So decide on both the topics initially. And then when you brainstorm, sir has definitely said that 15 minutes of brainstorming is where you think what you write. After thinking what all you write, structure them. What you are writing first, what you are writing second, what you are writing third. Go it in a life cycle approach or pestle approach or individual multi-level approach or any such approaches and try to have a structure in your mind. For example, when you brainstorm, you're writing introduction. It will be for 1.5 pages. Then what you are writing next? So how many pages will it be? What points you're writing in which paragraph? So this will take around 3 to 4 minutes, but you can beforehand itself have a structured framework through which you are taking the examiner through your essays. So if you're writing 8 pages, 9 pages, depending upon your font size, decide it before writing an essay. Then you start writing the essay. So you, at that time, you will not be stuck on the 4th page or 5th page because you already know what you're writing on the 8th page or 9th page, right? So this is structured brainstorming where you connect your ideas and decide which page, what idea are you writing. Understood?
So, what's the syllabus for essay? What does the UPSC say? There is a syllabus. There's no syllabus to essay, but there's a few guidelines that the UPSC put. Certain words that it has, very appropriately put it on the notification. One is, it has clearly said, first of all, you forget about the vocabulary and you just start thinking deeply first. Don't think of all the fancy words, etc. All of those you should not be thinking initially. It's not about impressive words, etc. It's not about the fancy quotes as well. It's not also the fluency. This is not the foundation of an essay. As I said, these are all important, but they are all secondary tools that will come in handy. Otherwise, from 90 to 100, 210, 110 to 120. That's the rule. But the 90, 100 and 110 comes from all of this. So UPSC mentions these words. First is depth of thought. Any essay candidate be able to show depth of thought. In GS, they're not actually going in the subject, they're going breadth-wise. Just scratching the surface, but they're showing more dimensions there. Here, you are expected to show more depth. You cannot just say philosophical like this and end in just 3, 4. You have to show how philosophically this essay, what is it showing? The philosophical depth you have to show. Socially, if you want to give an example, social angle, you have to give with lot of examples, real case studies, real examples, and you have to argue. Learn to start make arguments in this, in the essay. First is depth of thought. Second is breadth of dimensions. Now, is the candidate only a topic is given, only telling about the social aspect? So, because I have seen a lot of copies of my friends. Let's say someone with sociology background, all his essays would align only on the sociological themes, society themes. Any topic, you give him any topic, he will only write the social point of it. Only talking about society, individual, family, kinship, etc. As if there is no other dimensions in that. So don't be in that. A candidate is expected to show breadth of dimensions. Can be social, can be economical, political. I'm talked about the pestle approach. What is pestle? P is political, E is economical, S is sociological, T is technological, environment, ecology, L is legal. Think of different angles, of different dimensions. It should not be sounding only like the evaluator will clearly know this is a sociology student, this is political science student. I'm bringing only political science theories, political science thinkers, etc. Should sound, initially it might sound nice, but after that it will sound repetitive, one dimensional, and a one dimensional answer, essay will not be rewarded highly. Second is coherence. I will take coherence and as overlapping words, similar words. Coherence is like what I say, the first paragraph should have some connect with what I say next and what I say further. So it should like a stream of thoughts. Like I'm talking about sociology, social aspect. Suddenly I'm talking about some international issue. Then coming back to social, then talking about political angle. How should not be there? Then such an essay is called, it is not a coherent essay. Coherent has some logical flow. So that is coherence. And originality. You're not just going to there and dump some facts, anecdotes, essay quotes, etc. that are ready. If I'm just putting some quote, I've by hearted some dumping their quote. I'm not putting any effort as to link how that quote is relevant to the topic, how I'm using that quote to argue from a side, how it is linked to that topic, how it is telling the same, substantiating my view. Without that, it's just like dumping data in GS. Like if I'm putting some data. I don't know what that data is doing. You don't put data, you argue something and then example. Same thing. It has to happen on that way. Then only it will be an original essay. It will just like someone said anything, not be an original essay. You are using others' view, substantiate your argument, and not just this person said this. Then what did you say? Your view? That is so when all of that, then it should show. For example, I'm shifting from one paragraph to another. Again, I say coherence and flow are similar. Let's say I'm abruptly shifting from one paragraph to another. Then that essay does not have a. There should be connector words. For example, I'm talking about the and I'm talking on the positive side of it. And in the next page, I'm at the end of that argument, and the next page, I'm going to start with the negatives, other side of the story. Now, till now, for 4 pages, you were talking about positives, and suddenly you are talking about negative. That is not a good flow. You are ending all your positives and saying, however, there exists other perspective. However, their argument, other side of the topic as well, which we will look in next few. Then you are going to start with the negative. So the reader will understand that next you are moving from the positives, the negatives. You are changing your angle, changing your dimension. So that you are telling the reader that I am going to change the gears now. You have to be ready. Then that will not be an abrupt tone of the essay. All of this is there. That is being rewarded. Then to substantiate all of that, you have all this. But if you're only focusing on this and not working on, then
Okay, that was what was exactly UPS from UPS's keyword. This coherence and flow, this mainly how we can practice in writing essays is by using certain words. These are known as linking words. Okay, linking words. Otherly, then again there are 2 types of linking words: to add on linking words, to contrast linking words. To add on linking words includes words like in addition to, similarly. For example, you explain your idea, some idea in the first paragraph. Then the second paragraph you're writing, you cannot write 2 ideas like that. You can just add similarly, comma, then write your idea. Will that be a flow to the essay? That's all. Then when you're adding a negative thing, you can add linking words like on contrast to,
conversely.
So these are all the linking words. Where will you understand this? By looking at the editorials. You go pick any editorial, you see any opinion pages. In fact, today's editorial also, every paragraph, most of the paragraph will start with a linking word. When you see editorials, read them, write using those editorial words. What you can do, make a list, make a paper where you write all the linking words. Keep that paper in front of you while writing your first essay, second essay, third essay. You see which linking word can I use. And when you train your brain that way, 4th or 5th essay, you don't need that paper. You can automatically use those words. So you can make that one sheet, linking word sheet, which I'm using in exam hall. That is coherence and flow. Then rest all everything sir has told. And that originality, some aspect what you can do on your own is some people write poems, some people write their own stories. So that adds on to the originality of an essay.
Now,
one more thing, sir was telling, no, this is the cake of the essay. This is the cherry on the top. If you have cherry and no cake, no use. If you have cake, at least you will be rewarded with some marks. Cake with the cherry is beautiful and you will get more marks. So after doing that, do this also. Certain improvement in the vocabulary, not very fancy words, simple vocabulary words. For example, you are writing an essay, you bring some external influencer like Gandhi ji, Nehru ji, etc. etc. We use it. So instead of Gandhi ji said, what you can write? Gandhi ji advocates, Gandhi ji posits. So there is a list of words which we use in essay repeatedly. Describes, reflects. So make a list of those words, their synonyms. So again, when you write an essay, keep that in your front. 2 to 3 essays, pick the words from that single sheet. Then next time your brain automatically gets trained, you will write it with those vocabulary. That is what is vocabulary. Doesn't mean that fancy, difficult English words. This is what is that vocabulary which adds or enriches your essay. Right?
you will learn. You might find difficult initially, but I feel that uh, that is why reading editorials becomes important. See, you're used to reading coaching materials. Now, coaching material is not literature; it is notes. That's not the purpose of coaching notes also. So, but what that does is it cuts. It does not give you that depth of uh, language, because coaching notes for you to understand a certain topic, and it uses phrases. It does not use complete sentences. That's it. But that is why because but also you are used to that language, and that is not literature. So the beginning should be from editorials. That's why it is important to read editorials. Uh, there you observe how the writer begins. Directly does not hit the topic. He will start with an analogy. He will always talk about an analogy. He will give you a brief background or a historical perspective, context, and then he will begin his essay, his editorial. And also observe how he is transitioning. He'll talk firstly, secondly, thirdly, when he wants to give 3 points. So that adds to the predictability. He will say, for example, there's a causes of any issue. Directly, if you was saying like first cause, second cause, third, you will never know how many causes he's actually going to tell. So initially he will tell you there are 3 causes to. Now there's a predictability that this writer is going to write 3 reasons for it. That predictability, that flow will add. Then he will give you a converse view. Then give the other view. So you have to. He makes the transitions. So nowhere it is like abrupt. Essay is all about this flow coherence that you are using with lot of these words. Make these transitions. The automatically your essay starts appearing like a stream. Secondly, the connecting words, etc. I have again uploaded an exhaustive list of all these words in my channel. You can go through it. You can take a print or pick all of those, some of those which you are relevant, which can that I can utilize in essay. You can do that. Go through them, then you will understand. And how do you write good essay? First, you read good essays. That's the first thing you should do. Without reading a good essay, you will never understand what is a good. First go and at least 3-4 essays of toppers recent years, and it's not like you are reading essay of AIR one only, because he or she might not have very good marks in essay. So you are going to read of those toppers who have extremely high scores in essay paper. So can last year AIR 2 Harshita Goel, you can get her essays, very simple essays, very simple. Yet she scored one of the highest marks, 140. Go through a lot of other essays like toppers who have scored very good in essay. Follow them, read at least 4-5 essays. Then you will get a hang of it. Then you will see, okay, this what is at least expected. I should be preparing on these lines. Else you will not be knowing how to actually start off. So that is one thing. So with already I've uploaded a lot of connector words. Now the essay should have, this is the structure of an essay. The foundation of the essay, 1, 2, 3, this is the foundation. Foundation is first ideas, 3. This ideas, this is structure, and then this is expression. So it should be on these lines. There should be ideas first, where you are brainstorm initially. Then comes the structure. You give structure to those ideas. Then you finally put it on paper. You express it. That is your essay. So it should be 3 to 1. You invert the pyramid, you will have a very bad essay. So now just invert. So for example, ideas are the foundation first. It is the foundation. Then you structure channels them. Then expression delivers them. So invert the pyramid. Now you invert the pyramid, you have expression first, structure next, ideas later. You invert the pyramid, you write beautifully about weak ideas, and the whole essay collapses. That is why it is important that your structure, which is the ideas, which is the foundation, which is ideas, and then structure. Those are the pillars of your essay. Everything else, like ma'am says, is a top dressing. It's cherry on the top, cherry on the cake. Then weak ideas can never be saved by good language. Weak ideas cannot be saved by good language. You cannot do not have the depth in your essay, and you're just using flowery language like Tarurisk, Shashi Tarur language just to cover your weak ideas. No. He will not be impressed. UPSC will not be impressed. So Tarur language, all of that is a top dressing. As long as you have good ideas, strong ideas, then you do all of that. Then UPSC, the evaluator, will be. Okay. So always remember this: weak ideas can never be saved by good language. Why essays fail? Candidate words. Good candidate will see. Yes. Now, the real measure of development is human dignity. This is a topic. What normal students, most students, okay. A real measure of development is human dignity.
What do you understand by this statement? The real measure of development is human dignity.
Real measure of development is human dignity. Come up, some ideas.
Standard of living of a person. Then anyone else? Mutual respect, fairness. Okay.
Fairness, mutual respect. Okay,
And
next.
personal liberty. And then next, importance to individuality. See, everyone has a different idea, right? This is what sir was telling about ideas.
Will be. This is because they have different perspectives. But one good thing was that no one just focused on development. That's a good thing. So most students would have just said this is an essay on development, because that was the word that they initially they write about GDP, infrastructure, economic growth, etc. A GS answer dressed as an essay. That's it. But the real what you should be focusing here was on human dignity. Now, human dignities, they explore what dignity means, when development fails dignity, and what true progress looks like. Now, that should be your essay, and not just development. Development is economic development is growing at this rate. Will become Viksit Bharat by 2040. Your essay should focus on human dignity. That was the crux of the essay. Development, then you can show development that fails human dignity, development that leads to human dignity, challenges challenges of why development is not leading to human dignity, what are the way forward, what is the solutions to this. So it should cover all of these dimensions, and not just and also one mistake that you are only writing on one side of the essay. The real measure of development is human dignity. Is human dignity the only measure of development? You can also bring that argument. You are ultimately again trying to see beyond what the UPSC wants, what is showing. So real measure of development is human dignity. Is it an absolute statement again?
For example, bring Ramaraja in current scenario. You have everything, truth, Ramaraja, like Rama's place. What happened? Truth was there, everything was there. But now, currently, there is no development, no AI, no computers, nothing. Is that the development? Truth is there. Every values are present, but no development.
No real development. So try to bring another argument, which is contrary to what the topic is saying. However, this is the topic that UPSC had given. So most of your essay will be on this angle. and at the end you are trying to give an other perspective. Now, right from first page, you don't write the other perspective. No, human dignity. The real measure of development is not human dignity. It is this.
That
Then
is false.
you're killing the essay topic. You're not massacring it. You're killing it. Don't do that. You're giving your view first. You're agreeing, satisfying his ego also, saying yes, yes, sir. This is real measure of development is human dignity. Then you are saying other perspective says looking from a different dimension, looking from another angle. Another measure of development is also this. Then if you are able to put it this way, that is a good argument. So essay is about how you put your perspective and not just about perspective. Like everyone, you don't have to show different perspective in every answer. That is also overdoing something. Now, every topic you are looking like the opposite view, that is not needed.
For example, for topics like this.
Yes, topic like this. Because there will be topics where this is an important point actually that's coming up. Not every essay is a 50-50 one. Yeah. Not every essay is a 50. Like there's a topic, I write the pro side for 50%, then the arguing against it, that is 50%. Most essays will not be like this. For example, conservation and development. That is a 50-50 topic. You can talk about arguing about development for 40%, talk about conservation for 40%, then you add a synthesis, mix of both, sustainable development at the end. It's a good mix. But not all essays will be like that. Some essays will be like, it will be fact in itself. It will be truth in itself. For example, the sun rises from the west. Now, you cannot argue against it. No, sir. In Africa, it rises from here. You cannot say that. So there are certain facts where you cannot argue against it. So you have to have that maturity to understand which essay is 50-50, which essay is 90-10, which essay is 70-20. Have that division clearly, and not every essay is 50-50. This you please make note of.
This would be 90-10, where human dignity is actually the measure of development. But along with this, for human dignity, we also need economic measures. You can add it that way. In addition to providing human dignity, the standard of living, etc., should also be done to maintain that human dignity. Something like this you can add.
Topic has 3 layers. Now this is the words, writing, evidence. This is just level. This is what tip of the iceberg. But you have to showcase this. This is the foundation. This is the core. You have ideas here. You are putting different perspective, different ideas. Then you are adding philosophical touch to it, making it sound more philosophical, more deeper, then delivering it. So the surface is what you see, the literal words of the topic. The theme is, this is the theme layer. The theme is the idea, those words point towards. So you have words, you're writing towards the deeper theme, then you are adding a philosophical layer. That layer is the universal human truth that gives the essay its soul. Not necessarily you have to write an essay philosophically, or even if the essay sounds philosophical, it does not mean that all the 12 pages you are only writing in a philosophical tone. It is again just one layer among others. Just like we talked about pestle approach, philosophical approach can be one layer. That's it. Don't overdo it again. Don't sound very like spiritual, very philosophical. Don't do that. Don't philosophize everything. It's again just a perspective you give. Philosophically, this is one layer. Then that adds maturity, that adds depth to the essay. So you get surface, the theme layer, the philosophical layer.
In the starting slides itself, sir gave that 5 things, no? Depth, breadth, In that, two different things: breadth, depth. Breadth is about all the multiple dimensions you bring in. Depth is where you bring philosophy. So when you add both depth and breadth, your essay looks matured, contentful.
Now, the topic that was there in 2020,
24.
24.
This was the topic I had written essay.
Okay. So you would be better to answer
No,
it.
sir.
Forests precede civilization and deserts follow them. Forests precede civilization and deserts follow them. Now, forget all of this. What would you written? What would you have written in this? Just give me, let's brainstorm a bit. Give me 5 ideas from 5 different things. What this topic is talking about. I'll read the topic again. Forests precede civilization and deserts follow them.
See the words forest, civilization, deserts.
Afforestation. Then
Deforestation. Sustainability. Civilization is development, forest is nature.
Next. Last one idea. That is validation. Like you explain what is the core. You're okay. I feel your yes, please. Forest to urbanization. Okay.
I'll tell the introduction what I had written, then you tell me the core idea. For this essay, I had written introduction. Adam and Eve. You know who are Adam and Eve? If Adam and Eve were taken birth today, they would be definitely happy seeing the huge building, traffic, huge traffics, etc., so and so. But they would definitely miss the lofty mountains, the fast flowing rivers, etc. So this was the introduction which I had written there. Now think. Today's civilization has everything: buildings, mountains, roads, computers, supercomputers, etc. But deserts are following them. Ecological sustainability. Growth versus sustainability. Loss of diversity, ecological diversity. Okay, that may be a part of the essay, but core philosophy or core theme of the essay was ecological sustainability.
That's what precisely. See, most of you talked about desertification, the deforestation initially. That was surface. Trees just touched upon the surface layer. Then comes the second layer, which is the theme. Broader theme: forests and ecology, environment and ecology. Then the philosophical core. What UPSC is expecting. Most people, the less than 90 will only write about this. 95 will be talking about 110 will be talking about this. The philosophical core is sustainability of civilization. If you're only writing about forests, deforestation, then civilization happened, and that is just one perspective. Then, yes, civilization happened, then why did deserts follow them? That's the other part. Then you sum up all together and you're talking about sustainable development. So that will give you a complete picture. So this single topic opens into a meditation on how every great civilization has sown the seeds of its own destruction through ecological carelessness. The word forest is merely the door. Walk through it. So it is much deeper. It is not about forests. It was not just about forests. It was not just about deforestation. That was just a beginning. Thereafter, you talk about how the forests, the importance of it, then how that the destruction that led to civilizations, and then civilization a good thing, then why did forests follow them? So you talk about then. Civilization per se was not a bad thing, but the carelessness of so much that it took away all the forests. That is why basically you're hinting at sustainable development. You're showcasing the greedy side of man in the first half. Then what much more a man who is connected to the nature would have actually done. That's the way forward. That's the sustainability part. Then you are going to tell you the way forward. Then end with the conclusion. So it was not about forests alone. It had a much more philosophical depth.
Every GS kind of essay you see will also have a philosophical depth in itself.
So the words there were forests, civilization, and deserts. Never write on the words, about the words. You're not going to write only on the words, like about forests, about civilization, about this. Always write on the idea behind the words. This was the message. The idea behind those civilization between forests and desert was sustainable development. Sustainability of that civilization. How it can sustain, balancing both like development and maintaining the forests as well. That was the core idea. The art of reading a topic. Again, so technology is a useful servant but a dangerous master. This was 2025. So technology is a useful servant but a dangerous master. Here the keyword is technology. Keyword is talking about technology, how the pros, cons of it. And the theme, broader theme, is not that it is useful or it is like dangerous master. The theme is about control. You don't control the technology, technology will control you. That is true for you. Take example of AI. You are recklessly developing AI, and if you don't control it at certain point, that AI will start controlling you. It becomes super AI. It becomes beyond your controlling capacity. Now, who controls whom will change, role reversal. So the question is much deeper. It's about control. It's about developing technology mindlessly without its understanding the um, consequences of developing any. For example, you are developing GM crops. The objective is that I will produce more, it will produce more yield, etc. But we do not know the after effects of consuming such food on the body. That's an unexplored area. So now who is controlling whom? Those GM crops will start controlling your body. Take of any other example. This is how the core theme of control and not just about technology. You can use all the different technology only to substantiate and show, but the underlying theme was about control. For example, nuclear weapons started Oppenheimer. You can talk about how it's a useful servant but a dangerous master. Dangerous master because those who control nuclear weapons control the world during the Cold War. You can give that example. Oppenheimer, you watch the movie, said, now I've become death. He's in control of becoming the control. And thereafter, let's say there was reckless development of nuclear weapons thereafter during the Cold War, what we call as the nuclear arms race. And that led to, again, what? The weapons are now controlling human. And whoever controls nuclear weapons will control the world. That was um, the theme of Cold War. That is what led to nuclear arms race. So you can utilize all of this, irrespective of any technology. The underlying theme is of control. That was the core of the essay topic. Then the conflict. Human agency. What is agency? Agency is ability to make your own decisions. After a certain point, you are losing your agency. That's what is a super AI? When it starts taking autonomous weapon system, where you're not sending people on the field, you are literally putting technology, robots on the field, and they are fighting on your side. So basically, now let's say after a point, it becomes so powerful that it starts attacking you in the reverse. Like you created it, and after a certain point, it starts using its own agency and starts attacking you. So that is human lack of human. Basically, the conflict is about technology, the human agency versus technological determinism. So this was the underlying conflict, underlying core of the topic, and not necessarily. Then you can use various all of these to tell how it is a useful servant in various good examples. The opposite of it, how you can tell dangerous master. But if it is dangerous master, do we not develop any technology further? Then there will be no development in the world. There will be no progress. So what do we do next? Cautions. Regulation, that's the theme that we read in science and tech. Regulation of technology versus regulation. Bring in those ideas. So why do you think all this AI summit is happening? AI summit is basically like the developed countries do not want to have any limits on AI applications, and they do not want to share the technology, whereas the developing countries want open source AI so that they can also get the benefits of AI. So what are we doing? We are regulating a technology. You can bring those ideas. So all this GS knowledge should be used to substantiate your answers, and they themselves, again, you cannot just go on writing science and tech answers. Do not go on writing economy related. So don't look it as a GS paper. Look it as an essay paper. GS material as fodder and for substantiation.
See, this is the most beautiful slide, whatever I felt. This one sentence. When you see essay topic, what are the first thing you do? You check the keywords. Keywords. Keyword here is technology. This is servant or a dangerous master. First step done. Second step is understanding the theme of the essay. This is the most important step, because once you understand what theme you're talking, then every paragraph must have that idea in it, so that you will not get deviated anywhere. Understood? Like, this is why to understand this theme is important. Any person who has read GS many times, if you ask him, technology is a beautiful servant, technology is a useful master but a dangerous servant, he gives a numerous number of examples. All of us can do. But to understand this theme is important. Once you understand every paragraph, you make sure you are relating it to that theme. Okay. Conflict is one aspect which Sir told.
This is a, like we talked about division 50-50.
50. This is that 50-50 division
This
type
is
of
the
essay.
50-50. You can talk about how it is a useful servant. You can talk about how it's a dangerous master.
Here, essay basically goes to be a debate in
it is
itself.
an argument, debate. Now you cannot say this is only a useful servant or this is only a dangerous master. That's a one-sided essay. So how you decide which is a 50-50 essay, which is a 70-30, 90-10.
They can do that, sir. Go home, take some 30
Yes.
PYQs, identify the keywords,
Yes.
identify the theme, and identify whether it is a 50-50, 90-10, 80-20 essay. Don't write anything. Just do this.
Just do this. This is an important exercise. Your structure depends on the division. How you divide, that only tells you the structure. Now, once you divide 50-50, you know the structure, that I will argue for this side and then substantiate, argue on this side, right away forward. If it is 80-20, you are arguing more on this side. Your arguments also should be very strong. Cannot be 50, because you're talking in this perspective, because it is 80-20 or 90-10, because you know mostly it is a right statement, it is a factual statement, you cannot negate it, but your argument should also be very strong enough. Then the other side, you are saying that there exists another perspective, this is that perspective, then ending mostly on the same lines. So every great essay revolves around attention, just like we talked about GS, all the GS2, GS3, there is a core conflict here. For example, these are some angles you can, I think, bring irrespective of the essay. These are some conflicts you can bring across the essay. For example, freedom and security. Just like what we, a question on liberty or something comes. You can talk about freedom versus why do we, just the example we saw in morning. UAPA, country government comes up with UAPA because it wants to secure its country from anti-national activity. But in the process, it is reducing privacy, it is reducing the fundamental rights, Article 19, Article 21. Then growth versus sustainability, rights versus duties. You can bring that perspective. You can talk about individual and society. You can talk about technology and humanity. These are, again, some conflicts that you can bring, whichever are relevant, you can add it. To add, I think this, it creates debate, nuance, and depth. I think these three words, I think will, in summary, if I have to tell what is a good essay, it should surround around these three words, right? It should be, have a debate, argumenting, then it should have nuance, then it should have depth.
We already saw 2 PYQs. No, forest precedes civilization, deserts after them. What was the conflict there? What was the conflict? Growth versus sustainability. Technology, we saw technology. What was the debate there? Can you add, can you pick some from this where you can add conflict? Which technology versus
And you can also bring freedom versus security.
AIs, privacy versus surveillance, individual versus society.
You can also bring that.
Right? These frameworks actually provides you a grade of ideas for any essays.
Okay. Now, after identifying your theme and conflict, you have identified the theme, the larger theme, you identified the conflict. Now, systematically think through these lens. This is how, like, even if you are able to think of 3-4 points in each, you have 10-12 points. That is more than enough. You talk from individual and family lens. You talk about, in that you can talk about personal dignity, psychological impact, household dynamics, the individual and family lens. Then society and economy. Society itself can be a lens, economy itself can be another lens, social equity, community resilience, etc. Politics and governance, I feel this is an underlooked dimension in the essays. Most people are only writing about society, economy, and individual family. You can talk about the policy gaps, constitutional values. I feel you should bring in more constitutional values in your essay as well. Bring in lot of, make use of even good judgments as an argument. Then institutional response, etc. Then environment, global. This is something you should be bringing the IR. Anyone from PSIR would be more comfortable in bringing an IR perspective in your essay. Then ecological, then history and future. I think history is another aspect I think you should be looking at. But if you're placing your, if you're starting your argument from one of these lenses, you should always start with the historical angle. You cannot write all of this and then end at, say, historically this essay. History, if you write at the first, it sets the context. It gives you that comparative lens. And then you're building, it will also act as a foundation. So whenever you're thinking of history, writing historical lens, always write the historical lens angle in the initial as your first argument. Then you build on all of this.
That's all. Here, this was for all the width of essays.
Yes, width of.
And when you bring some Supreme Court judgments, etc. in polity, that will add on depth among the width.
Yes.
Understood? And you see editorials, they'll write no judgments according to this judgment.
In MC Mehta, this is the Supreme Court said this. So why is he using MC Mehta when you could have directly said his point? That is adding a depth, that is adding authenticity to the argument. Because again, what you and I say about a topic does not carry weight, it does not carry any water. What the Supreme Court has said in MC Mehta, what a particular thinker talks about a particular theme, expert says, that holds more weightage. So that is my, that is why you have to use substantiation. Yes, yes. Then this is again, we'll do an exercise. The cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. The cost of being wrong, I want you to all drop your pens and just brainstorm. The cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. We'll just start off with, what do you think of the topic? Give me 4-5 ideas. The cost of doing nothing. Yes.
Theme
First.
of this. What is the theme of the essay? The cost of doing nothing is?
Doing nothing is less than the cost of being wrong. You have to start at least taking this risk, decisiveness, a decision, then the result. Good. Come out of the, yes, this I feel is a very relevant idea. Coming out of comfort zone, very good idea.
You know what? You're going to the depth of the essays, then you can add width automatically.
Yes. Now again, you come up with different ideas. Anything else to add? Curiosity. Like,
nice.
Want to yes, being curious and actually starting off. Anything else to add? Huh? Learning from our mistakes. Okay. Participative. Fear of failure. Fear of failure, same. What? Leadership. Again, what about decision making? Very similar. Opportunity. Grabbing opportunity. Okay. Where you can raise your hand. Yes. Yes, efforts. Already told. Anything else? Spirit of fighting. Yes. Mindset of trying again. Yes. See, actually, a good amount of
ideas.
So it was about psychology of risk aversion, which you mentioned, coming out of taking risks, coming out of the comfort zone. Psychology of risk aversion. Second, history of decisive moments. For example, in across history, there are moments where one decision has changed the world. We ended up today here. Someone decided something for us, and that has led to this. Let's say the British did not have something called as the ICS. Would not have UPSC exam, would not be prepared. Just giving you a glimpse. So some decision has led to all of this. So you have a lot of examples across history. You can make exhaustive list of all of that. You can think of the Napoleon's decision to fight the Russians. That's where he lost. Till then he was ruling the world. In the peak of winters, when the weather was the harshest, he did not have anticipated all of that. So he just went to invade Russia. And in that peak of winter, he lost all of his army, lost his own life. So that is like that one decision. Let's say if he had not done anything. Oh, this is enough. I am going back to France. Enjoy. He would have survived. So cost of doing nothing, he would have actually got him more. But he went and became wrong. So again, the ethics of inaction. Sometimes not doing anything actually does result in good outcomes. With all the good intentions, you try to do something. Mess up. Don't mess up, but opportunities, situations arise like that even your good intentions turn into bad outcomes. That you can utilize. So then it is also about civilizational courage and stagnation. Let's say those two great people, I don't know their names. had not used two stones and caused that friction between two stones, where would we not be today? Is that curiosity that friction between the two stones that led to fire, fire led to everything around us. The roll, the rock that was converted into a wheel, the wheel has changed, has led to what all? Everything around us, the transportation, everything, mobility, the everything around us would have not happened. It is man's ingenuity that I will do this. That just a thought, and we have so many innovations around us. Or else just everyone would be just enjoying being hunters and gatherers, eating fruits, berries in forests, not have all of this. There will be no UPSC, no need of all this circus, all of this competition. So it is man's ingenuity that he came out of his comfort zone. He wanted to create something novel that has led to all of this. So action had led to all of those reactions. So that is one angle. So these are some things. So you've mostly brainstormed around similar themes. So the cost of being wrong. So now how do you divide the essay? Do you support completely? Do you argue against it? Is it a 50-50 essay? 70-30? Anyone else? How will you divide? Give me numbers. 50-50? 30?
60-40. Sir, they're all telling all the sites measurements in Bangalore.
90-10? The cost of being wrong is less. First you argue for that. You give examples for that. The cost of being wrong is less. Then you talk about, first you argue for that and give a comparative, like how the reasons, situations where cost of being wrong is actually less than cost of doing nothing. Then you talk about the other aspect, but sometimes cost of, for example, the cost of being wrong is less, the cost of being wrong is more than the cost of doing nothing. I have done something, of nothing, it has actually led to more destruction than bad. My interest, let's say, is give out a spark of that two stones. Now, because of that, if the entire forest had entire kaadna suttaakbitidre, then doing nothing would have better. I think this a very good example would be the 5-star ad. 5-star ad where he will not do eat 5-star, do nothing, but still he somehow ends up helping that old lady. Then there is a lot of ideas like that. Sometimes doing nothing will actually lead to more better outcomes. So that's the point. So you argue for both, but should we be doing something or sitting quiet? Should be doing something. That should, I feel this should be 60-40 or 70-30, arguing in favor of doing something and getting it wrong. It's okay, but at least we've made progress. See, you can give the examples of R&D. Not everyone actually, most of our innovations, especially in the medical science, I feel that directly no one has produced a vaccine for a particular thing. They experimenting something and then they accidentally produce an vaccine. This is the story
Chandrayaan 2.
This is how accidentally you can discover something. But let's say he has not done anything. I have a salary, good salary coming. Why should I do all of this? Take home that salary, have a nice lunch, dinner, my wife, enjoy life. No ingenuity, no progress, all of this. So you can talk about that. Mostly it will be 70-30. Argue on the other side for 30. Anything else?
So identify the crux of the essay, divide the formula with 60-40, 70-30, whatever you want to. Give idea, then
Yes.
evidences.
But
Idea,
this
evidences.
is important. Ideas and evidence. Now you came up with a lot of ideas, but you substantiate those ideas with evidence.
That is where a
Without
UPSC
evidence- yes,
aspirant
yes,
stands off.
Yes, without evidence, it will be like just having a chit chat about a topic. Now, coming out of comfort zone, what example can you think of? Real examples, real evidence. Coming out of comfort zone, and he has done something and actually turned out well. Yes, Thomas Alva Edison. Let's say our freedom fighters would have just sat at home, not do anything. They are also preparing for ICS. They are also enrolling for coaching. What would have happened? Still, we would be in colonial. Simple. You talk about all those efforts, the efforts, sacrifices made by our national leaders, and that is what we've led to. If they had not done anything, we would also got nothing. So that's the argument. So you bring in evidence, real life evidence. You talk about the sacrifices made, the curiosity, the curious minds of scientists that has led to all this innovation around us. Policies, all our policy making. There are no Swachh Bharat scheme. What would have happened? You can come up with that Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Andolan. That was not done. Why was it done? If they have just sat quiet, the numbers would be still very poor with respect to female education. Give all those evidence. Give your arguments. Build your arguments on evidence. Ideas, evidence. So, what you should be doing? An introduction. Now, that introduction can be an anecdote, can be a current affair context, it can be a summary of a book, it can be story, it can be a poem, a relevant poem, it can be a Tulsidas Doha, Vachana, etc. Anything relevant to it. Then you build your essay, you expand different things. Where will this expansion come from? The brainstorming of essays, brainstorming. Then you have various dimensions, breaking those ideas into multiple dimensions and giving evidence. Now you have one side of the essay, you are doing the exact counter arguments that forms the other part of the essay. Then you're synthesizing it. So this is thesis, this is antithesis, your synthesis. You're combining both. Development, conservation, sustainable development. Development, conservation, sustainable development. Technology, regulation, you have regulated technology. This is how your essay should be. It is not like only talking about arguments, only talking about counter arguments and just ending abruptly. Most people also end here. They're only arguing, counter arguing. Good, 90 marks essay. This is a 100 essay with all the garnishing, 110 plus essay. Simple. This is why marks are stagnated at 80, 90, 95, less than 100. There is a reason as to why they are stagnated. I feel that even those who have got less, they are not being very honest in actually accepting what did not work for them. So they are blaming UPSC. They are blaming Bangalore Center.
I wrote in Bangalore.
I got good marks. So everything else is just an excuse. So every section has a role. You have to understand this. Every section has a role. The introduction earns attention. That is why you should have a very good anecdote in the first place. My suggestion is you go for an anecdote or you go for a book summary that will add. And I feel introduction should be as realistic, relevant, real fact. That familiarity will add to the rawness of the essay. Then you will be better. I feel the reader will have that seriousness in essay. Writing Sita, Gita, Ram, Sham, all those imaginary. I don't really feel that they are more powerful. Yes, they're good, but they're not better and best. So that's what. There is no right and wrong here. Good, better, and best. So my suggestion is that more familiar the reader is with the topic, the more he feels that he takes the essay seriously and he connects well with the essay. So that should how you should. So introduction earns attention. Then you are building the dimensions, build the breadth. The counter arguments earn the trust. Then you synthesis earns marks, and conclusion earns respect. So every part has certain role to play. So that is why you are doing it. And I feel that everything has at least like 20 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 marks. Top dress 110. So every section has certain role to play. So missing out any one of the section, then naturally you will have subpar marks. The introduction types you can.
The introduction, arguments, counter arguments, synthesis. If you ask me, like introduction is one major part. Like the most major part would be introduction, because that is the examiner first reads your introduction, right? You write beautiful introduction, which must be relevant. Try doing it as unique as possible, because when it comes to a topic, everyone has the same introduction in our mind. For example, we write stories which we know, all of us know the same stories, right? Writing anecdotes. One example would be Gandhiji's train incident. All of us read the same story if such essays come. Try to have a unique introduction. Prepare on beforehand itself. For this topic, I'm writing this introduction. Okay. That you must do before entering the exam hall. Sometimes you can do innovation even in exam hall. And when it's not possible to do it all, write the average, whatever everyone writes.
The average is Gandhi, Mandela, Buddha.
Okay.
The Holy Trinity.
A little extra, right? So 4 different types of introductions we can write. First is story or anecdote. Here, what we can do, we can explain the crux of the essay, the theme in the essay through a story. How should you start the story? You heard storytelling, right? You don't tell in the first, second, third line what is the whole theme. You try to create a curiosity in the examiner mind, and towards the end of the story, you tell the examiner this is the thing.
If I could just add something, what I said in earlier session, treat essay like a cinema. Treat essay like a cinema. Don't give out everything in the first 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
This is this. Hero comes, he fights, gone. He takes the heroine, gone. Finish in the first few. What will he do for the next 8 pages? So it should just, whenever you're stuck writing an essay, think of it as a cinema. You give your anecdote. The anecdote is like the teaser, the trailer. So the work of the introduction is to induce attention, to pique the curiosity of the reader so that he holds till the 10-12 pages. So then is the backstory of the hero. ಕಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ
ಬನ್ನಿ ವಾಪಸ್
ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. So you first tell the backstory. You tell what is the history of the topic, to temporal aspect like history, then spatial, then other various angles like the dimensions. Then you're building on it. Then comes the anti-hero, which is the counter argument. Then he does his work. Then the synthesis are against each other. Usually cinema the gangster has a certain word, he has his own word, the hero has his own word, and those words collide at certain point in the cinema. That is synthesis. Now then comes conclusion. Hige marta nim hero. That is the conclusion. So think of KGF every time. Really, KGF I feel is the blueprint for essay. You're not giving everything. Directly, if the director had shown Yash coming out of the well and swinging his sword, then it would have ended. So he gives the story, backstory, the Mumbai word, then he develops, then he directly overnight, like, what is that film? Sharat Googly, like one night or go the commerce in the Sida businessman, 6 CR. That should not happen. KGF, there is incremental improvement. You have to struggle, you have to gain, you have to face so many things. Then he builds an empire. Then he's trying to save that empire. Don't be Sharat. Be Rocky. Be Rocky. So this is always think of essay as a cinema. Thank you.
Story or anecdote is what we write, and then provocative question. That is what I had done for that forest precede civilization example. Adam and Eve, if they were present today, would they be feeling happy that they are around the technologically super fast world, or will they be sad because they're missing the mountains, fresh air, etc., etc.? So some contrast or provocative questions can also be the introductions. Understood? And next would be historical event. This, what you can do is, you can take GS1, history, certain topics, and have a introduction story kind of thing based on them and keep it ready. Okay, that will be your historical event. Like for example, Gandhiji's train incident. Like that, there are list of events in the history which you can make it down, which you feel is unique, and there are ideas which can be similarly written in exam. Okay, maybe I have a list of those.
I've already uploaded.
Okay, sir has already uploaded, so you can use it. That is historical event. So this will add the content to the essay. Even for the essay, I feel content is the key. For
Content is the king.
yeah, content is the key. English, everything extra, but content. You are a UPSC aspirant. Your knowledge, your content should still be the part of the essay. Then paradox, writing something exactly opposite of what essay is telling, and then telling if it is so and so, then we can take one PYQ and try to add 4 different introduction for the same PYQ. And then you see which you are good in. Everyone has a different strength, right? Maybe I can write a better story and anecdote. You can write a better historical event. So by doing that, you will know what is your strength. So stick on to that in most of the essays you write. Then others you can practice as well.
Every paragraph, the test, every paragraph must pass. First of all, each page should have max 2 to 3 paragraphs, not too large, not too small. It should not be just like 2-3 lines and end, come to the next paragraph. That cannot be a paragraph. Paragraph should be like at least 30% of your paper. Max, you should be having at least 2 to 3 paragraphs. Now, first, every paragraph should have why, how, and so what. For example, why are we using a paragraph? Now you have so many dimensions you have brainstormed. Now each of those angle you are explaining now. Now, first you state your claim. For example, sociological angle. Bringing a sociological angle, state your claim and explain the reasoning behind it. Then you sociological angle tarratila. You are explaining why sociologically, and you are explaining the context. Then you are also giving, this is the idea, this is the evidence. That was what Niveditha was talking about. So you stake your claim first, explain why. Then you give an example. Sociologically, you write this angle. Now, example you've given an example illustration that makes it authentic. Then you link it to the topic. This is something that you should be doing. Every time you're arguing a point, come back and link it to the topic. So this is how it is linked to the topic. This is how cost of doing nothing is less. So you are coming back to the topic to show that you are still within the framework of the essay topic and not digressing away from the essay. It is a reminder to the reader again and again that I am writing well within the limits of the essay topic and not digressing.
This is actually important, sir. Why people score 90 or 100 in essay is they are very intelligent. They write all the claims, they write all the examples, but they fail to link it to the essay. You are just giving what your knowledge to the examiner. Examiner doesn't need knowledge. Examiner need expression of your thoughts about the topic. And that expression will come when you follow these 3 steps.
Yes, answer lists facts and move on. That's it. You are not explaining anything. You're not telling why I'm answering to the question. You're not telling him. Here you have to. Essays, linger, reflect, and connect. Appear to him. Yes, this idea is relevant to the essay topic. Biggest mistake is treating essay like a GS. This is something that we've told earlier.
Only sir, technology answer.
Yes.
You would have my various example. Write AI, write space and technology. Then it is listing. But you link it to the essay topic, then it is a essay.
Reflective
essay.
Now, in GS, we are just, it is more information driven, fact driven. It is very efficient because you are just listing down the examples. Then it works perfectly in GS. In essay, it reads as very mechanical, very shallow. So what you should be doing, it should be thought driven. It should explore the uncertainties, invite the reader in a mind at work. What UPSC rewards. So it should be more analytical, more contextual, and your ability to showcase that all this argument example is linking to the topic. So this I feel is like copying your GS writing style into an essay is the single most common reason why scores are saturated. So now, first is introduce the idea and pose the guiding question. Those guiding questions can be thesis questions. Thesis questions are like what you will be doing next. For example, once the topic starts, you give your anecdote. Now you say, in this essay, I'll be exploring the idea of, like for example, I'll first explore the idea of cost of doing nothing. I'll illustrate with examples how where cost of doing nothing is less than cost of being being wrong is less than cost of doing nothing. Then further we'll also explore an alternative idea where cost of the opposite idea. Then you're giving all of those thesis question and then beginning your answer. So that should be your first. Then you develop an argument for the first section. You are now breaking into multiple dimensions. You're giving examples where cost of being wrong is less. So you're giving certain examples as a response to that. Then you're doing the exact opposite as a counter argument. And then coming to paragraph C, conclude by synthesizing both and then ending you're basically resolving. You're not just synthesizing. Synthesizing should end with solutions. You're just not saying sustainable development. Now that you should move forward, how sustainable development can be done. A, B is there, you combining, that should produce C. It should not just A and B. It should lead to C. That what is that C you should showcase. So each paragraph must be a logical consequence of the one before it. The reader should never feel a jump or a gap. I think this is what earlier mentioned, we want converge coherence and flow. But now this is gone. What you can do to avoid that jump? End each paragraph with a thought that the next paragraph opens with. Now immediately shifting to the opposite view, and at the end of the paragraph you can say, however there exists other point of view. However, there exists other side to the story. Then you are saying the other side of the story. Because now the reader is very well understood that, okay, in the next paragraph, the tone is going to shift. He's exploring the other side of the idea. So you can end with a concept, you can end with a question or a tension. Then that will a good transition rather than abruptly shifting. An essay is not a collection. It is not just a collection of points. it's a river of thought. Why the word river is used here? Because it should flow logically. Okay. Conclusion. Okay. Conclusion. Now you can just abruptly not introduction, anecdote, you traits, you are arguing for both multidimensionally, then you are synthesizing it, thesis, antithesis, then synthesis. Then synthesis should be your penultimate topic. For that, after synthesizing, you give your conclusion. Conclusion usually should be like summarizing all of that, coming with a way forward, and then ending. So this is how it should be. So conclusion should also be very powerful. For example, like introduction was very great, body was very great, everything went very well. Like it is started off like this. Now it should not drop off. It should again go in the same direction. Again think of KGF. Again think of KGF, how it ended. What would have had happened if it just ended abruptly? Like Samrajya Katta Mugi. What happened next? You should tell, like, how did he save that? How did he conquer, etc. So the conclusion should also go on very powerfully. I feel that there's something called as recency bias. What is recency bias? The last page, for example, while evaluating an answer in PS, like it's a 3-page answer, I'm reading all of it. In the conclusion, it's a very good conclusion. Now I'm like, that's the last paragraph I had read about the answer. Because the conclusion was very good, I have an affinity to give more marks. I have a bias that conclusion was very good. That's why I'm doing. If you're abruptly ending without the conclusion, no matter how well you have written earlier in the first few pages, first few paragraphs, you will feel that abruptly this is it. That's why the bias will be of what he has encountered most recent. The most recent emotion he had was of question of he did not he was not satisfied. So less marks. So that is why how you conclude matters much more. Then it's just like Dhoni. Does not matter how you begin. Initially, you'll be like he's playing slow. He's using a lot of balls. But at last, we'll end with a 6. How you end matters. Start off slow, progress the innings, and end and win the match. That's it. So that's why it is important. Use this. So conclusion should be about like synthesizing all of your ideas. You should probably end with a very good vision. Where must the humanity arrive? That's just an example. This can be one. I'm saying after synthesis, conclude. Then possibility. What can be the possibility for the future that you can explore? For example, there was a question on the empires of the mind. Empires of the future is empires of the mind. That was a question in 24. You can talk, okay, in future, what might be, that can be a conclusion can also be about possibilities in the future. So why essay score 90 versus 130? 90 or just describing the topic, list the dimension without connecting them. Write on the words and not on the ideas behind those words. Then you are concluding with just a summary. In the 130 marker, you are exploring the underlying area. You are going much deeper. You are questioning the conventional assumptions. You are giving basically you are countering the topic. Then it reflects with intellectual honesty. Then you are synthesizing all these tensions into a larger truth. That is a good essay. So topic, you have philosophical core, you have wide range of dimensions, then you have a good narrative flow. This should, I feel, lead to a very good
day.
So essays are not tests of memory. Essays are tests of organized thinking. I think this words is a cue for good answers, good essays. Organized thinking. Where does this organized thinking come from? It's
structured
brainstorming and structuring. That is why ultimately, if you have to do this for 12, 14 pages, have to invest good amount of time for brainstorming. That is why brainstorming becomes difficult. It becomes the most important thing. That's it.
That is how a good essay looks like. Now, how to, for this, you have to prepare in beforehand, right?
Yes. Now, what are the certain things that you should prepare?
Okay.
Read lot of essays. First, go and read lot of essays of toppers who have very good scores in essay. One. Second, collect a lot of anecdotes. Collect a lot of anecdotes. I have put my collection of anecdotes. You can take you from that, use it as a reference, but build on it. Because you should, if you are doing it on your own, you are better able to reproduce it on the day of the exam. Else you will have that, you will not have that conviction in utilizing the ready-made material. Second, lot of anecdotes. Third, make a huge collection of quotations. Quotations on certain themes. You go and see the various PYQs of the last 10 years. Make a list of various topics it has made. There are repetitive themes. There are philosophical themes. There are related to sustainable development, related to economy, example, etc. Create, you make a collection of quotations on all of those themes. Then quotations based on personalities that you make an executive list. Third is start reading. First was essays, topper copies. Start reading editorials. Start observing from a lens of a writer. Don't just read, just be a reader, because in essay you are the writer. So you have to understand the mind of the writer. So see, wherever you're finished, done reading an editorial, look at the only from an essay perspective. The GS purpose has served. Look only from the essay perspective. How the analogy is utilized. How, like also we mentioned about the anecdote. Anecdote we started. In the conclusion, you should again come back to the anecdote. That is one important piece that was missing. Now, what was the purpose of anecdote? The purpose of anecdote was to link it to the topic and begin. But you have done all of that. After that, you've written for 10 pages. You're writing the synthesis, concluding, and then you come back to Adam Eve example. You come back and now show Adam Eve in today's world.
Adam and Eve would be more happy if they found both the river and buildings side by side.
So basically, you're coming back to the anecdote. So you are then utilizing. That's the utility of anecdote. Else it will be like the reader will be like, what was the utility of the anecdote? Where did Adam and Eve actually go? It's just that you are addressing, coming back to the anecdote again. You are using those characters as anchors to surround your story, build your story, and then show them, like at the end. Old movies are Shubham anta bartidna. We're going to show that Adam and Eve peacefully a resort where it has good skyscrapers or good stream also. Adam Eve. What is it? That's it. That should be your essay. Anything else? Start reading. I think that is only when you will develop good writing. Writing does not come automatically. Have some fodder material, and that fodder material comes from everyday reading. Enjoy reading, then only you will enjoy writing. Any doubts related to essay? Finish off very quickly, 5 minutes. Doubts?
Anyone writing mains this year? So you have time. Any doubts? Any questions?
Questions? No questions?
No questions either means they have understood everything or they have understood nothing.
Oh, that's it. We'll finish up. We'll wind up. Yes, please. by writing more, by reading more, by reading, seeing other essays. For example, you write an essay for which a topper has already written. Then you will get that what was the deficit. If that you take his essay as a benchmark, and if your essay is this, what's the difference? What was missing in your essay? You have to start looking at your essay critically and judge your own essays. Don't wait for others to and okay point out. After writing, you will understand this thing I should have done better. This is I missed out on connecting anecdote back again. That was a missing link. You can think of if you have not written multidimensionally, you will know it by reading. And also read others' essay. That is when you will, because what happens, you will not see your own mistakes. You will see others' mistakes more better. Yeah. So read others' essay, then you will understand what should not be done. When you understand the do's and don'ts of
So for maintaining quality, what you can do is don't start writing 14 pages at the first day. Write for 4 pages. Try to maintain the quality, and try to maintain the coherence flow. Then when you write the next essay, write for 5 to 6 pages. Then write for 7-8 pages.
yes. Then initially you can just brainstorm. Don't write any essay. Initially you just brainstorm for 2-3 essays. Brainstorm for half an hour. Just think of various ideas. Then you just in another sheet you draw structure. That this how I would write my anecdote, the anecdote. Then this is the dimensions, this is the counter argument, the synthesis, the conclusion. How I would end with a very good quote, shloka or etc. You do this for 3-4 times, then you start writing full-fledged test. Then it will be better.
How I did was I took all the PYQs, then segregated them theme wise. There are different themes which UPSC asks, and UPSC makes sure out of the 4 essays, at least 3 essays will be from that repeated themes, just like GS. Now for that themes, think of that 4 introductions, 4 different style of introduction for each theme, and 4 conclusions for each theme. Okay. Then same theme, different year PYQs, you can write using same introductions and practice them. So in that way, it will be a structured approach also. For example, you cover self-perception, truth and wisdom in one theme. So you keep the content ready for that. Introduction, some 2 to 3 different types of introduction. Conclusions, which is futuristic. Then from same themes, do PYQs. That way, when you finish each theme, you will get confidence. My topic for this year was Truth Knows No Color. Now, that is a topic which UPSC asks almost every time.
With just different wording.
Different wordings. So I have the content, I have the introduction, I have the conclusion. And I know how to maintain flow and coherence. Go, write that essay, come back. That is why I told your exam is a preparation. How good you approach to practicing essay. I know if this question comes, I would write this introduction. But it's not useful all the times, but at least 70% of the times.
Anything else? Yes. It will be different. We will give all the 8 essays. Yes, there will be overlap, but make sure that just for the sake of being different, don't choose anything. Ultimately, you should also be very comfortable. That's a mistake that has a huge ramification. Because let's say, just for the sake of choosing, making my essay different from the rest, I choose a very different content. No, it will be different because, and let's say you have brainstormed certain issues, ideas, and you've not utilized, don't utilize the same ideas again. Then it will not be repetitive. If I've already used the Gandhi's talisman as an idea in essay 1, I will not again use the same essay, same idea in essay 2. Feel like repetitive. So
yes, certainly. Each evidence can have different values. So that evidence which you're using for the first essay's values, use a different evidence here.
think of different ideas, and eventually you will have different, because I don't think so. I've not encountered that I've come up with the same ideas again and again, because the topics will be distinct. So naturally, whatever you brainstorm will also be distinct. You can try this.
Practice PYQs.
PYQs, yes, you go understand the language of UPSC. Once you have understood the language, understood what he's actually hinting at, I think with practice you will understand. I think again the base, it all comes down to the first step I told: read more essays. Only when you are reading more, you will understand what are different perspectives. Else, ultimately, in this, you will be only looking at from your own lens, and that's everyone's perspective is limited at certain stage. So you will be only wandering around those ideas. That is when you've read more of different toppers, different essays. Then you will understand. Okay, this is something I had not thought of. That's a new perspective. That is how you will build your different and that is how it will get better. Initially you might find it difficult. Yes, your doubt is absolutely valid, but it will get better. Experiences are there, you can use at some stage, but again, as I said, the reader will not be familiar with your story. He will not take it very seriously. That is why using the content, using evidence word under something that has already happened. So that is why a real based and reality based anecdotes, real evidence will fetch more attention, rather than you bring in ideas that have actually happened.
But if they can bring only if you can properly express it, and the examiner should understand,
Exactly, yes.
then that will be originality.
If you are not able to express exactly, then the reader will not understand. Then he will probably like, why did he write this? Will not connect to the topic. If that idea is touching upon the topic, about the core of the topic, then it is a valid. Anything else? That's it.
And this class will only be useful if they work hard on it and write it yourself.
Yes. Your exercise is to write more, brainstorm, go home, brainstorm on these ideas, brainstorm at least 2 essays for 25 minutes each. I think that will be I think you will reap the benefits of this session. It's nothing. You have to rewatch it again. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All the best.